Today I'm going to be sharing the War of the Fishes with the Okanagan. I stumbled upon this story in a collection of Nlaka'pamux stories reported by James Alexander Tiet. He and his partner Franz Boas traveled the interior region on many expeditions, and they made many contributions and recordings of indigenous ethnology in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Without these recordings, access to my own traditional stories is pretty limited. The War of the Fishes with the Okanagan is an adaptation of Tiet's adaptation of a traditional story recorded 200 years ago. I come from a family of fishermen spending hours on the riverside, by the stream, or on a boat in the ocean. The men and women in my family have spent generations learning about fishing, studying the natural indicators of runs, learning about fish preservation, and where to catch specific types of fish. The story I'm about to share is for the fishers in my family, their knowledge of fish, and for the little girl in me who once believed that there were river dolphins in the Fraser. The War of the Fishes with the Okanagan. A long time ago, all of the fish were returning home, back to where the two rivers meet in Lytton. They were on their way back from a war against the Okanagan, a war they'd won. The Okanagan, though, were not happy to be defeated. They planned to strike back against the fish, and they followed them on their way to Lytton. The fish were proud to have won. They were tired from winning their battle, and they'd let their guards down. They were very surprised by the Okanagan's attack. The mighty sturgeon, in an effort to escape his enemy, jumped from side to side, running around in large curves, temporarily throwing off the enemy and making them lose his scent. In doing this, the sturgeon formed many long windings. These resemble the many curves of the Columbia River. Sturgeon's efforts and his wit were not enough, though. Semisul and Pisul, the trout, and most of the other fish were overtaken before reaching the Nicola Valley. Their bodies were thrown into various lakes and streams across the valley. This was also the place where the whitefish and others were slain. Shortly after, the Okanagan caught up to the steelhead and the humpback salmon. They were overtaken, and their bodies were thrown into the Nicola River. Upon reaching the Thompson, the Slexkul and the Xloksa, the sockeye and the spring salmon were overtaken, and their bodies were thrown into that river. The sturgeon made it home to Lytton, but there he was met by the Okanagan, and he too was overthrown. His body was tossed into the Fraser River. It was only the Kuklau who escaped of all the fishes, and ever since has been afraid to make his way up the Fraser River past Yale. This caused his chasers to return home, back to the Okanagan. It was because of this war that at present day, these fishes are found so abundantly in the lakes and streams of the upper Nlaka'pamux and Okanagan territories. It is why the salmon can be found chiefly in the Thompson River, but not in the Nicola, why the sturgeon does not frequent the Thompson and is altogether confined to the Fraser. It is also the reason why the Kuklau never enters Nlaka'pamux territory, and if he does, he never goes past Hope or past Yale. The end.